what's going on with the planet right now. So we have a lot of our wild fantasies playing out. Now, our wild fantasies are quite dark. And you can tell by the music, by the TV, by the news, our fantasies and our mind is pretty much destructive right now. We have a worldwide pessimism going on, and what this is, we are playing it out to its completion. So in order for us to really rinse ourselves clean of all of that stuff, the drama, this whole Shakespearean mindset that we got going on, the eye for an eye, the never-ending revenge, the never-ending resentments, the never-ending karma through unforgiveness. Whew, how we come to terms with it, move on, is we have to play it out. We play it out until we wake up and decide, you know what, I'm done with this. I've played it out long enough, I'm ready to move on. Now, everyone's gonna come to terms with their whole wild fantasies or dramas, dilemmas in their own time. Some people are gonna play it out for this whole lifetime, the whole revenge, eye for an eye, can't let it go, unforgiveness, the karma, the wheel of that. But most of us on this planet, we are going to come to terms with the drama and the dilemma, and we are going to move on, because right now on the planet we have very powerful lighthouses. Now, these lighthouses are, you can call them light workers, you can call them indigo children, crystal children, and they're basically a very powerful presence on this planet. Now, these lighthouses, very much like sacred stones or sacred sites such as Stonehenge, they are placed at grid points around the world. So think of yourself, you're watching this, you're a light worker, an indigo child, a crystal child, and you are in a town, you are in a location, and simply you are a lighthouse. So when you chant, when you broadcast the Holy Spirit into your house, you become a lighthouse, and that right there becomes a sacred site. And we need as many sacred sites on this planet right now, because what it does, as the ancients understood with the Stonehenge, the sacred sites through the monolithic stones that we see, is it is a very high charged activated space or spot, grid point on the planet, like a lighthouse. And what that simply does is it gives the environment, the surrounding area, higher energy, and the ancients used these sites to connect with higher dimensions. So that is what we are doing. We are integrating higher dimensions into this third dimension to help the third dimension along. So we are helping everybody, all of humanity, come to terms with their wild fantasies and move on. And in order to move on, we need higher energy to move on, because the spin, the cycle of destruction, it has a lot of momentum. So in order to get out of that, just that swirl of just going nowhere, is we need higher energy, like a rocket needs fuel, a lot of energy to get off the planet Earth. Okay, so higher energy are lighthouses, healers, powerful vortexes in all over the planet. So you may be in a dense location, you may be in a very uplifted location, it doesn't matter. You are here where you are for a reason, because the Holy Spirit has guided you here and has guided you there, wherever you've lived, to anchor a lighthouse for the surrounding area. Your energy, when you amplify it, when you broadcast it out through your healing practices, through your prayer, through your meditation, through your chanting, through dance, through just your upliftment, through you connecting with your spiritual talents and gifts. Your own spiritual awakening creates a sacred site for people to receive loving spirits. That is you. So when you go out, you are giving people the loving spirit, higher energy that helps them to make that quantum leap out of their wild fantasy. Everybody wants to get out of that wild fantasy in their own time, remember that. But it needs to play out. So we're playing it out in all of our airwaves right now, television, radio, news, so that eventually we'll be, okay, we've had enough of the pessimism, let's move on. And indigos are very much the voice of reason, saying, let's move on. It's time to experience something else, because this is getting boring. This is not really working. It doesn't really make us feel good. And it's never ending. So let's learn the lesson together. It's what light workers are helping people to learn, the lesson, which can be very difficult to learn the lesson because a lot of it is subconscious. So we can't consciously just look at our subconscious and be like, okay, what is going on? Most of us have no clue what's going on with our subconscious and why it's a wasteland and why it's projecting into our negative Nancy life. Okay, light workers help us to look into that basement of our lives so that we can kind of, okay, I need to change some things, because a lot of us, we just don't know how to look at ourselves, or we don't want to look at ourselves. Man, there's so much white light behind me. It just all of a sudden appeared. Just listen to my voice. All this white light, you see it? It's just pouring in on you guys. Okay, this is the Holy Spirit is saying, yes, this is an important message for you all. Okay, so what we can do to strengthen ourselves is a daily practice of chanting, a daily practice of meditation is very helpful, because you want to have that nice communion with spirit. And that's what's also going to help you to activate your talents and gifts. Now, your talents and gifts, let them awaken in their own time. So we're not trying to, it's not a race, it's not, gotta get there. It's an integration process, because you gotta think, if you're on the planet right now, you are one of the first generations, okay? Generation set. There's a set of generations that are here on the planet, meaning people born in the 70s, people born in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, so generation set, 10 decades apart. And basically, you right now on this planet are part of that major first wave. So if you're here, you got some strength, you got some guts, you got some bravery going on within you. We just simply need to recognize that it took a lot of courage to come to this planet and be the first, part of the first generations to really pave way for the ascension into the fifth dimension. So what that means is we are integrating sacred teaching, sacred geometry through codes, through light language, through just embodiment, through orientation, that hasn't been on this planet maybe for thousands of years. Thousands of years, and we are now integrating that back into the planet Earth, back into the system, because it is in the system, but it has been dormant, meaning it has been in a file somewhere over there. So what that means is information is an integration process. Our system, our neurology, it has a set kind of grid system. Now we are altering that grid system of the brain, which is like the points of the brain are shifting. Okay, it's like neuron points I can visually see. And what that means is we're having a recalibration, and that's what's opening up these channels within the brain that connects us to these very ancient teachings, such as Lemuria, Atlantis, higher senses, psychic abilities, clairvoyance, telepathy, all of this. It's just simply the neurology, the grid, the geometry of the brain blueprint is being moved around in a way that's creating a recalibration, that's opening up channels to receive neuron pathways that connect to something really ancient. So we are making those connections in the brain, the neuron pathways, to these small tunnels that have grown small because of the 1,000 years that we have turned away and we haven't used our gifts of psychic and all of this stuff. And now that tunnel's open, and we are now moving energy through that channel that connects us to our ancient past or ancient higher dimension. A higher dimension that's in the brain. It just hasn't been used, so it's kind of just sitting there. It's like if you don't use your right hand or your left hand is going to be weaker than your right. So our senses are weak, and psychic senses, higher senses. And what that means is we're going through an integration process. We're going through a rewriting process. So instead of writing with our right hand, we're writing with our left hand, which represents the patriarchal design, and that is what we are entering to, a more patriarchal design. Now this is thousands of years in the future, okay? This is not tomorrow, next week. This is thousands of years in the future when you get into the golden age. Now, what is important right now for you, so you can grow your system strong, so that you can be able to manage your life up into 2025 when we get out of the gray period, Yogi Bhajan called. The gray period, which is simply we're all like really wacko, meaning our brain is so fogged, we are so just confused by technology. We're so like kind of dumbfounded by the technology, and it's just causing our brain to like, we're just whoa, you know, we forget things. We have all this mental illness, such as the dementia stuff. All of that is due to the fact that our brain is going through this gray period, which is, whoa, brain is like, what's going on? Because whenever our brain is being recalibrated, it causes the brain to be like, whoa, what's going on? So when we get into 2025, that's when we really can get into, okay, the brain is getting into a nice, okay, it's been recalibrated, now it's getting into a nice kind of groove with that direction, that new direction in the neurologic pathway, or the psychomagnetic energy grid points, the geometric electromagnetic orientation. It gets pretty, this is the path, okay. It was pretty shaky before 2025, but this is the path now. Let's begin to strengthen this path. Let's begin to strengthen this direction. So right now we're all like wishy-washy. We're all like up and down, and I want the fifth dimension. No, I don't. It's too hard. Third dimension, I just want that, but that's not working. I just want to make my money, but that, oh no, I don't want just money. I want deeper connection. I want spiritual growth, but that's too hard. So you see how it's all it's all complicated. It's all complicated right now, and that is just simply a part of the process. And the guides want you to know that, so you can be able to become aware, so you can manage it better, so you can have a compassion for yourself and for others. And this worldwide brain thing we got going on is a part of the process. So up until 2025, we're going to start to see a more, you know, okay, this is the path, this is the design of the brain. It's shaky, now it's more kind of stable, let's go in that direction. But what you can do to really prepare for that is, it is meditation, it is chanting, that's going to really help you to get through this. Because if you're not doing that, it's going to be very difficult. You're just going to be like all over the place, wishy-washy, up and down. And the up and down is also a part of the process. So emotions, up and down. We're fifth dimension, when we're third dimension, we want our money, but then we want spiritual growth simultaneously, and we're trying to figure out how to bridge the two together. Because we are here, as Yogi Bhajan would say, to be prosperous humans. We're not meant to be spiritual beings broke, okay? That is not the teaching of Yogi Bhajan. We're meant to be spiritual beings having a prosperous life, not just wealth, but it is health and wellness. It is creativity. It is it is excitement, it is enthusiasm, it is wealth and knowledge, wealth and experience, wealth and travel. And that's the communion with our spiritual life and our practical life, okay? And right now, what we're doing is we're having a mental shift from this accumulation mindset, the third dimension, accumulate, which doesn't go anywhere. We have this stack of cash, we have this stack of energy within our body, but it's just stagnant. It's not circulating, it's not distributing properly, and what that causes is an imbalance. An imbalance. So what we're doing is we're entering an era or an age of distribution and circulation of that, which is giving and receiving, which overall gives us a sense of balance. Okay? A sense of balance. Now, the Aquarian age is about integrity and dignity. So anything you are aware of, okay? There are many causes, there are many organizations for all kinds of things when it comes to deforestation in South America, when it comes to factories and their inequality or their wages, also their health, okay? We got factories with a lot of health issues for employees. All of that lack of integrity stuff, it will come up. So you don't have to worry about these people who are just, let me just sneak it a little bit longer to get my money. I mean, I'm just gonna keep doing this outsourcing thing to just make a cheap buck and have slave working going on in South America or Mexico. That's no longer going to work. The Aquarian age is integrity, which is honesty. So anything that is not integrity, it will be brought to light. And even people's psychomagnetics, okay, their psyche. We are getting sensitive right now as light workers and as people, and what's going on is we're being able to see people's dishonesty within like 3 to 9 seconds. Meaning we meet somebody and we know all about them based on their psyche, and you cannot, your psyche cannot lie. So if you get sensitive enough as a spiritual being in your physical world, you will be able to see somebody and know that person, what their stuff is. So when you enter a relationship with that person, when you enter a business with that person, you know exactly what you're getting into. So there is no pretend. You know what's going on in that psyche. Now, you might not be able to know exactly what it is, but you feel it through your intuition. It says, whoa, there's something quite off. There's something quite imbalanced. That is a red flag. It's telling you need to have some discernment. Maybe don't go have sex with that person. Maybe don't get in a business arrangement with that person right away. Get under the hood, kind of what we're getting into. So the future is psyche. So how we're going to attract things we want is through the psyche. Now, when it comes to businesses, even businesses are changing. The whole structure of businesses. It's becoming more based on creativity. It's becoming based on health and wellness. We get into that, health and wellness. So holistic living. And that's pretty much, you look at the North European countries such as Finland, such as Ireland, such as Scotland, which are on the top environmentally friendly countries in the world. Their businesses, their design is different from America. We have a lot of holistic lifestyle going on in that, holistic business going on in that. And that is what we are entering to, and that's all about integrity. That's all about your psyche. Business, relationships is your psyche. You're working together to help us to heal and to clear our psyche. So, right now with the dark we have going on, okay, it is just to be aware. We're not ignoring it. Let me not listen to radio or news or TV. No, it's just become aware of that. That is somebody's wild fantasy. Either it's an artist, a singer, either it's a filmmaker, either it's a journalist. People are playing out their wild fantasies through these outlets. And their wild fantasies, most of them are kind of dark. their drama, their dilemma, they're just this karmic, Shakespearean, just no peace. It's not peaceful. And that's okay, but just be aware. That is somebody else's wild fantasy. That isn't yours. Now what happens is other people's wild fantasies become young people's wild fantasy. So meaning young boys are watching porn of a porn director's wild fantasy of how they make money and that destructive energy. Now it becomes a boy's wild fantasy. They take it on because we're not aware that our psyche, kind of whatever we see kind of goes on, our psyche kind of can get in alignment with that. Okay, our psyche kind of absorbs that. So the TV, the news, the radio. So we just have to be aware. So the best thing you can do is be in nature. If you really want to clear out any psyche stuff that isn't yours. It isn't your program. It isn't your wild fantasy. It's something that you have picked up from a porn movie or something like that. And how we really get over that is just deciding in our own time. Everyone will decide, I played this out. I've had the wild sex. I've had the dramatic relationship. I've had the dilemma with my mother, the dilemma with my job. Coming to terms with it, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to move on. And that is everybody's kind of responsibility to decide to move on with that. Everybody's responsibility for their own health and wellness. Okay? But also everybody will come to terms at their own time. So all you can do is just continue to be a beacon of light, continue to be a healer, and continue to cultivate higher energy, because when people are finally done with whatever that stuff is, most likely they're going to need kind of guidance on, okay, what do I do now? And that's what healers are for. Let me show you how you can begin to live a life that is actually a lot more joyous than what you've been living. Okay, manifestation, synchronicity through meditation, through chanting, through the power of belief, all of that. Okay, so any weird unfairness you feel, okay, continue to chant Waheguru, continue to chant hard, continue to chant Ang Namo, Up So High Hoa, Satcheda, Satchado, Hada, Hada, Hada. Continue to chant these mantras, and that will help any sort of, you feel any sort of fairness, it will clear it. Okay, meaning it will bring balance to your life. Okay, you just have to pay attention to the synchronicity, pay attention to your intuition, and act upon your intuition with divine courage, fearlessness, and faith. Surrender to the Holy Spirit 100%, and she will guide you. She will instruct you, and it won't be easy. It will be difficult, but it will be greatly rewarding, because you will be a part of the first generational sets to really help the planet, the whole humanity, to enter into a naturalist life, which is the future. Naturalist life. So the world's gonna die. That is our wild fantasy we're playing out, and it is not real. It is our destructive energy. The neutrality, when we get to neutrality, eventually, out of our wild, fantasies, we will realize we are entering into a naturalist society. Naturalist. And there are already countries who are paving way for that. And America seems to be just, kind of a little bit distracted, but that's okay. That's okay. The best thing to do is play it out, so then you can be done with it. Because if you don't play it out all the way, you'll always have this, I wonder what it would have been like to have sex with somebody on the table, or whatever, just whatever, or to have a bad relationship. I wonder what that would be like. If you do it, you get it out of your system, and then you can move on. But if you don't want to go through that, most likely you're watching this video, you don't want to go through that, meditation and chanting will help you. Okay, it is to hold the lighthouse. Now the boats, they come when they come, meaning lighthouse to the dark sea. The boats come when they come. All you do is just continue to that lighthouse, like the sun behind me, the white light. So I'm going to leave you guys with that channel message. I feel it is complete, the download. Okay, namaste.